Hi, welcome back to Conversations with Kanyomozi. My name is Lisa Kanyomozi Raboni, and we are reporting 16 days of activism. So we've been talking about how to report better. We did one, focus on the offender. Two, violence is not shared. It should be reported in a way that one party is an offender and the other is the victim. And finally, we have to include the victim's resistance in the stories. Oftentimes, the stories that are told when it comes to domestic or sexual violence, we often see that there's no recollection of how the victim was resistant to this. Did she fight back? And how did she fight back? Did she say, I hate you? Did she refuse not to stop wearing miniskirts? Did she argue or fight back with her offender? How was that going on? When we refuse to add resistance of the victim into the story, we then push the narrative that it was passive. Whatever violence happened to them was passive. They had no fight in them whatsoever. Whether it was protecting their children, whether it was protecting themselves, how that went about, we need to begin to include that in the story. When we only report what has been done or what has happened to a victim and not include how they resisted in whatever way it is, how we can include that is now upon the person who's retelling the story. We then take away their agency, and it is important for us to put in the agency of the victim. So instead of saying Lisa was bitten, Lisa was stalked, you could include Lisa was bitten and she was able to tell this to her friend. Lisa was bitten and Lisa was stalked and she was able to speak to a couple of authorities. In that way, you've included my resistance from the first stage to where we are now. So you can see that I was not passive towards this violence, and this is oftentimes happens when it comes to people who have been violated either domestically or sexually. So I think as storytellers, as reporters and writers, we need to begin to include that sort of language or that sort of narrative into the stories we tell. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Conversations with Kanyomozi. We are still going on with 16 days of activism.